Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Good morning, devotees. My name is Manjari Gopika Devi Dasi, and today we will be hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 20, covering verses 1 through 33 and focusing on verse 33. I ask for your blessings that I may speak something pleasing to my spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all the devotees. Let us begin by chanting together the invocation prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarvasvatim vyasyam tato jayamudirayet nashta praesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So, yes, we'll be hearing from, as I just mentioned, Canto 5, Chapter 20, entitled Studying the Structure of the Universe. And I was asked to cover verses 1 through 33 and focus on 33. However, it is not feasible to read aloud all 33 verses. So what I'll do first is I will summarize the contents of verses 1 through 33, and then we'll go to and read aloud a few verses, 29, 32, and 33. But I do encourage everyone at some point today, you can go and you could read these verses on your own. They're extremely detailed about what this title says, sorry, the structure of the universe. So my summary is very, very brief, just to give a brief overview. Okay, so this chapter describes the structure of various islands, dweeps, and the oceans surrounding them. Each island named is progressively larger than the previous one named and ruled by one of the sons of Maharaj Priyavrata. Plakshadweep is surrounded by an ocean of salt water, and its ruler is Itma Jiva, and it is twice as broad as Jambudweep. Shalmalidweep is encircled by an ocean of liquor, and its ruler is Yajna Bahu. This island is twice the size of Plakshadweep. Kushadweep is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter. It is ruled by Hiranyareta and twice as large as Shamalidweep. Kraunchadweep is encircled by an ocean of milk, ruled by Grita Prishta, and it's twice as large as Kushadweep. Shakadweep, surrounded by an ocean of yogurt, is ruled by Medhatiti and is the largest, being twice the size of Kraunchadweep. Each island is divided into 7 regions with very large mountains and rivers, and the inhabitants of these islands all worship different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Agni Dev, Vayu Dev, etc. So that is my brief summary. So if we could now, we'll read aloud verses 29, 32, and 33. This is the English of 29, 32, and 33. Yeah.
Outside the ocean of yogurt is another island known as Pushkaratweep, which is 6,400,000 yojanas, 51,200,000 miles wide, twice as wide as the ocean of yogurt. It is surrounded by an ocean of very tasteful water as broad as the island itself. On Pushkaratweep, there is a great lotus flower with 100 million pure golden petals, as effulgent as the flames of fire. That lotus flower is considered the sitting place of Lord Brahma, who is the most powerful living being and who is therefore sometimes called Bhagavan.
Thank you. Verse 32. Yeah, we're skipping to 32 and then 33. Thank you for always helping us, Ajit Prabhu.
For the fulfillment of material desires, the inhabitants of this tract of land worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as represented by Lord Brahma. They offer prayers to the Lord as follows.
Go ahead and read the English, and then we'll.
Lord Brahma is known as Karmamaya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies, one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, and therefore, in one sense, he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Worshipable Deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances to Lord Brahma, form of the manifest Vedic knowledge.
Thank you. Okay, we'll chant the Sanskrit now. This is our focus verse for today. Yatat karma mayam lingam. 33. Yeah, I had to read the English. It was a continuation of the previous verse. So now we'll focus on the Sanskrit. Apologies for the confusion. Okay. Yatat karma mayam lingam. Brahma lingam janochayet. Ekantam advayam shantam. Tasmai bhagavate namiti. Would anyone else like to chant? Yatat karma mayam lingam. Ramalingam chanojayet. Ekantam advayam shantam. Tasmai bhagavate namiti. Yatat karma mayam lingam. Brahmalingam janochayet. Ekantam advayam shantam. Tasmai bhagavate namiti. Yatat karma mayam lingam. Brahmalingam janorchayet. Ekantam advayam shantam. Tasmai bhagavate namiti. Okay, we can do these synonyms together. Yat, which, tat, that, karma, mayam, obtainable by the Vedic ritualistic system, lingam, the form, Brahma lingam, which makes known the Supreme Brahman, jana, a person, archayate, must worship, ekantam, one who has full faith in the One Supreme, advayam, non-different, shantam, peaceful, tasmai, unto him, bhagavate, the most powerful, nama, our respects, iti, thus. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Brahma is known as Karma Maya, the form of ritualistic ceremonies, because by performing ritualistic ceremonies, one may attain his position, and because the Vedic ritualistic hymns become manifest from him. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, and therefore, in one sense, he is not different from the Lord. Nevertheless, he should be worshipped not as the monists worship him, but in duality. One should always remain a servitor of the Supreme Lord, the supreme worshipable deity. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Brahma, the form of manifest Vedic knowledge. Purport. In this verse, the word karma mayam, obtainable by the Vedic ritualistic system, is significant. The Vedas say, Swadharma nishta shata janmabi puman vrinchatam eti. One who strictly follows the principles of Varnashram Dharma for at least 100 births will be rewarded with the post of Lord Brahma. It is also significant that although Lord Brahma is extremely powerful, he never thinks himself one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always knows that he is an eternal servitor of the Lord. Because the Lord and the servant are identical on the spiritual platform, Brahma is herein addressed as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. But if a devotee serves him with full faith, the meaning of the Vedic literature is revealed to him. Therefore, Brahma is called Brahma Linga, which indicates that his entire form consists of Vedic knowledge. So today we will discuss the position of Lord Brahma. Let me begin by saying I'm not an expert on this subject. I'm really not qualified at all to speak on it. Lord Brahma is a pure devotee of the Lord, a pure devotee of Krishna, and the topmost being in the material universe. So I beg forgiveness from all of you, and especially from him, for my inadequacy. But I will do my best to share the teachings of our acharyas on Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the first created entity within the universe. He's the topmost being in material creation, and he is the most important demigod. In the 6th canto, Yamaraj explains that Lord Brahma is one of the 12 Mahajans. The Mahajans are great exalted personalities in our Shastra, all of whom possess deep knowledge of devotional service and who are considered authorities on spiritual matters. Lord Brahma does not have a material appearance like us in that he is not born from a mother and father. At the beginning of creation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, in his expansion of Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, lies in the cosmic waters on Anantashesh. From his navel, a lotus sprouts. And then seated on this lotus is Lord Brahma. When Brahma is born, he wakes up and he sees himself, finds himself on this lotus, but he's bewildered. He's unable to understand where he came from, why he's here. So he tries to find that out using his senses. He tries to trace the origin of the stem, thinking if I know where this began, then I can find out where I came from. So he crawls down this stem, but he just keeps climbing and climbing and crawling. And after traveling for a long time, he realizes, I'm never going to find the root of this. So he goes all the way back up. And he has this realization that I'm not going to learn anything just by using my physical senses and trying to figure this out on my own. So he sits back down on the lotus, in the center of the lotus, and he begins to meditate. And he hears the divine sound, ta-pa, which means austerity. Now, understanding then, he has to perform penance to gain realization. Brahma begins deep meditation. So after a long period of this tapasya, Brahma is blessed with seeing Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu imparts to Brahma the knowledge of who he is, his position, and also he gives him the knowledge of how to, and the power of how to create. So this transmission of wisdom, it includes the Vedas, which is the foundation of the entire universe. And then once empowered, Brahma takes on his role as the secondary creator of the universe. Lord Vishnu is the primary creator, and Brahma is the secondary creator. He's tasked with the specific duties of creating the planetary systems, the animals, the humans, the life. So in that way, Brahma then becomes architect of the material world. Lord Brahma is a guna avatar. He governs the material mode of passion. Krishna has Leela avatars. Krishna descends to the material world in various expansions of himself to perform divine pastimes. Krishna's incarnations are not bound by the material world, and he only comes to out of his own compassion for devotees and to reestablish dharma. Lord Brahma, however, is a Raja Gun avatar. So in this sense, Brahma is a post, a position that can be obtained by any highly qualified jiva. Anyone here listening to this class, if you perform the proper tapasya, you can become Lord Brahma in one of your lifetimes. And as Prabhupada explains in the purport, the Vedas state that someone who perfects Varnashram Dharma for 100 births is qualified to take this post. Brahma's position, because he's a jiva, the position is a temporary one, meaning it's based on the merit of the individual soul. And once the universe is destroyed at the end of Brahma's life, a new Brahma will be appointed to that position. The scriptures explain that in some cases, when there is no qualified jiva available, Lord Vishnu may take up the role of Brahma temporarily. There are innumerable universes, and in each universe is a Lord Brahma to manage it. It is said that not all Brahmas are pure devotees, but all Brahmas of this universe are pure devotees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that there are 3 categories within the status of Brahma. He explained this in the 11th canto. There are 3 categories, namely those of karmi, jnani, and devotee. A Brahma who is the most exalted karmi of the universe will have to come back to the material world. A living entity who has achieved the post of Brahma by being the greatest speculative philosopher within the universe may attain impersonal liberation. And a living entity who has been awarded the post of Brahma due to being a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters into the personal abode of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32, another case is described. A Brahma who is a devotee of the Lord, but who has the tendency to think himself independent of or equal to the Lord, may achieve Mahavishnu's abode at the time of annihilation, but when creation begins again, he has to return and again take the post of Brahma. So these various destinations possible for such an exalted living entity, it proves that any material position is worthless for guaranteeing eternal life and bliss and knowledge. Krishna promises that if one just surrenders to devotional service to him, then you will return to him. But again, our Lord Brahma in our Srimad Bhagavatam, we're looking at him right here, he is a pure devotee of Krishna, and we know the destination of Krishna's pure devotees. So Lord Brahma lives for 100 of his years, and Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita what exactly that means. It's pretty mind-blowing. Brahma's 12 hours is 4.32 billion years. And then similarly is the night. That's another 12 hours, which is 4.32 million years. So by that calculation of time, he lives 100 of his years. In one verse in Bhagavatam, it's explained that when Brahma creates, by the time he's meditating on the lotus for a long time, by the time he actually starts creating, he's 50 years old in Brahma years. So half his life is passed simply in meditating and performing tapasya. It's only after that that he's empowered with personal devotional service to Krishna. The entire Bhagavatam was revealed to Lord Brahma by Krishna. In the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, "It is Krishna, it is he only who imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being." And it's said that the entire Vedas is revealed to him in just 4 verses that in our lineage we refer to as the Chaturshloki in the 2nd canto. It's chapter 9, verses 33 through 36. Lord Brahma is so dear to Krishna. And we see this in their exchanges in Bhagavatam over and over. They have such a tender relationship and very elevated way of speaking to one another. And Krishna he's just very familiar with Brahma. In the 2nd canto, it says, And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma. This is the first handshake in the history of the material world. Krishna shakes hands with Lord Brahma. But we see over and over they have a very sweet personal relationship. One thing I often reflect on is in the 11th canto, in chapter 30, Krishna is winding up his earthly pastimes. And he'll be returning to Goloka very soon. So many of the demigods assemble and they offer him prayers and they offer him garlands, and Krishna stands there and he receives each one. And then he turns to Lord Brahma. Krishna turns to Lord Brahma after Brahma finishes his prayer and he says, "O sinless Brahma, when this annihilation is finished and I am en route to Vaikuntha, I will pay a small visit to your abode." So Krishna's departure from the earth, it marks the end of his pastimes in the material world. It begins Kali Yuga. And when Krishna does leave the planet at the very end of the 11th canto, it says how the demigods that are in the spiritual sky, they're so excited. They know that Krishna is coming back to the spiritual world. And so they start raining flowers down upon the earth, and trumpets are sounding. And Bhagavatam describes that each demigod is secretly hoping that Krishna is going to stop at their planet. Yet we know from Krishna himself, he chose one person to visit on his way back to the spiritual world. And who is it? Brahma. So what does that indicate about their relationship? In the Shastra, as noted in the purport, we see over and over that Brahma is a faithful, loving servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Lord Brahma has his own planet, Brahmaloka, which is fabulously opulent, and although Lord Brahma is the most powerful being in the material world, in the material universe, he never tries to enjoy separately from Krishna. Brahmaji is always acutely aware that his position is that of servant, and that he is very much inferior to Krishna. And in fact, 24 hours of his day, which is so long, as we just described, he's rendering personal service to Krishna every minute of his life. In addition, we see that whenever a crisis arises within the universe, that the administrative demigods can't solve, they go to Lord Brahma. He's their manager. They have complete faith in him. We don't know what to do. Let's go talk to Brahmaji. He always knows what to do. And when Lord Brahma cannot solve the problem, what does he do? Yeah, he goes to Vishnu immediately. No questions. No problem, guys. We're just going to go talk to Vishnu. I got you. And so there are many occasions of this, for example, when the earth is submerged in the Garbhodaya ocean by Hiranyaksha, the demon, Brahma and the demigods pray to Lord Vishnu for assistance. And Vishnu responds, always. He always responds to Brahma. He takes the form of Varaha, the boar incarnation, and he rescues the earth from the ocean. In addition, after the birth of Hiranyakashipu, who terrorizes the universe, and Brahma has to grant him some boons. Although that's even interesting, because you remember what happens when Hiranyakashipu goes to Lord Brahma? Well, actually, it's Brahma visits Hiranyakashipu because he's been doing years and years and years of austerity, and Brahma's like, "You fulfilled your material bargain. My job now is to give you what you want." And what does Hiranyakashipu ask for? Immortality. I want to live forever. And what does Brahma say? Yeah, sir, I am unable to fill your order. Even I don't live forever. Only Vishnu lives forever. But anyway, so and then after Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe, it's Brahma and the other demigods who go to Vishnu and they offer prayers and they ask for protection. And Vishnu reassures them that he will protect them, and he does come as Nrsimhadev. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is really replete with such instances where Brahma turns to Vishnu for guidance, protection, support in maintaining the universe. He has complete reliance of the Supreme Lord at all times, and especially in crises. When Krishna appears, we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he performs sweet, attractive, educational pastimes. So he often uses his devotees in his pastimes by using his yogamaya potency to put them in bewilderment. So and we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is a pure devotee. He put Arjuna in bewilderment for our benefit so that he could relay the Bhagavad Gita, which would help us. He does it to Uddhava in the 11th canto. Uddhava is a pure devotee, but he puts him in bewilderment so that they can have a conversation that will benefit us. And we see in the 10th canto, he puts Brahma into bewilderment, really just to please us, I think, with this sweet pastime, but also to establish his supremacy. So this is a very famous Leela. We have a picture of it over there to the right of Srila Prabhupada. It's known as the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Lord Brahma, by Krishna's arrangement, is bewildered. He becomes confused watching Krishna in his simple cowherd boy form, in his simple cowherd boy lifestyle in Vrindavan. He thinks, how can this mischievous, adorable, playful little boy be my boss, God himself? This isn't computing. Again, it's Krishna who puts him in this state of mind. So Lord Brahma decides to test Krishna. Let's see if he's God, then he'll know everything, right? So Brahma steals the calves and cowherd boys who were out playing with Krishna. Krishna wanders off. He steals the calves and cowherd boys. He hides them in a cave, and Brahma leaves. And he thinks, well, if Krishna's God, then he'll find them. But Krishna has a better plan because he's Krishna. So instead of finding the cave, freeing the boys and calves, Krishna expands himself into exact duplicates of his friends, of the calves. Brahma returns. From Brahma's perspective, he thought he was gone for a moment, but Brahma was actually gone for an entire year. So when Brahma returns, he's shocked to see these exact duplicates of the boys he had stolen, the calves, have been living in Vrindavan for 1 year, and nobody's noticed a difference. Not the mothers, not the fathers, not the cows. Nobody has noticed anything different about these duplicates. And Brahma realizes that Krishna is far beyond comprehension, that of course he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and of course he was so foolish to try to test this. So Brahma offers prayers to Krishna, offering of repentance and glorifying Krishna's position. There's an entire chapter in the 10th canto that's just Brahma's prayers after this incident. Brahma famously says to Krishna, there are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. As far as I'm concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Oh, my Lord, let me say this much. As far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. This reminds me of in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that famous verse, Krishna says, out of many thousands of people, only a few strive for perfection, and of those hardly one knows me in truth. So even Lord Brahma is beyond fully comprehending Krishna. But Brahma's glory is that he realizes that, unlike most people. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that although after this incident, Krishna immediately forgives Brahma for his offense, and he tells him there's nothing to worry about. Brahma still regrets his mistake, so he travels to Antardweep, one of the 9 islands of Navadweep, part of Mayapur, and he performs austerities to attain the grace of Lord Chaitanya. And in response to his devotion, Lord Chaitanya appeared before Brahma and granted him a very unique opportunity to serve him in the future. He gave Brahmaji the benediction that he would be born in a Yavana family as Haridas Thakur, our Nam Acharya. And Lord Brahma very happily gives up the position of the creator of the universe to take a very, very humble position in a very special service to Lord Krishna. My favorite pastime of Lord Brahma is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm sure many of you know it. Once when Krishna was ruling Dwarka, Lord Brahma came to see him. And the doorman went to Krishna and told him, "Oh, Lord Brahma." Well, first Lord Brahma says to the doorman, "Please let Lord Krishna know that Lord Brahma, I'm here to see him." So the doorman goes to the throne room and he tells Krishna, "Lord Brahma is here to see you." And Krishna says, "Oh, which Brahma?" The doorman goes back to Lord Brahma and says, "Lord Krishna wishes to know which Brahma has come to see him." And Brahma is confused. He says, "Okay, well, tell him the four-headed Brahma, the father of the Kumaras, that Brahma is here to see him." So the doorman returns, informs Krishna, and Krishna says, "Oh, wonderful, bring him in." So Brahma enters and he pays obeisances to Krishna, and Krishna pays obeisances to him. And Krishna asks Lord Brahma, "Why have you come here, dear Brahma?" And Brahma replies, "Well, I'll tell you in a moment, but there's now something in my mind that I really need you to dissipate. Why did you inquire which Brahma had come to see you? What's the purpose of such an inquiry? Is there any other Brahma besides me?" And upon hearing this, Krishna smiles, he closes his eyes and he meditates, and boom, an unlimited number of Brahmas immediately arrive in the throne room, and they're flying all around the throne room. And these Brahmas have a different number of heads. Some have 10, some have 20, some 100, some 1,000, some 10,000, some 100,000, some 10 million, others 100 million. No one can count the number of faces they had. So when our four-headed Brahma of this universe sees all the opulences of Krishna, he considers himself a rabbit among elephants, and he's immediately humbled. Our four-headed Brahma didn't know that there were other universes. Our material scientists say that the diameter of our universe is 3.2 billion miles. The Srimad Bhagavatam discusses 10 major topics, including Sarga, which is the primary creation by Mahavishnu, and Visharg, the secondary creation by Lord Brahma. Brahma is the secondary creator. He uses the ingredients provided to him to sort of, cook, shape the universe. However, Brahma's knowledge is limited to his own universe, the one he's managing. He doesn't know or understand what lies beyond his little universe. So we can think, what is the position of the scientists actually, and of you and me? Lord Brahma, the greatest being in this universe, doesn't even know what's beyond his realm. Lastly, very important to remark that Lord Brahma is our Sampradaya Acharya. There are 4 Vaishnav schools, 4 bona fide Vaishnav schools to deliver the souls. Mother Lakshmi trains Ramanujacharya, who propagates the Sri Vaishnav Sampradaya. Second is Lord Shiva, who trains Vishnu Swami to propagate the Rudra Sampradaya. Then the 4 Kumaras, who train Nimbarkacharya, who propagated the Kumara Sampradaya. And lastly, Lord Brahma, who trained Madhvacharya, who propagated the Madhva Sampradaya. Lord Chaitanya appeared in this lineage, what we call the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. It's coming from Lord Brahma. So how much worshipable and dear he is to us. The great Narada Muni is his disciple. Rasishri, can you sing the song of the disciplic succession? Can we get you a microphone? Rasishri goes to TKG Academy, and last year they taught her this song where she sings, and we can hear Lord Brahma's name it. Go ahead.
Krishna Brahma Narada Vyasa Madhva Padmanabha Narahari Madhava Kshopya Jyatita Jana Sindhu Dainidhi Vidyanidhi Rajendra Jayadama Purushottama Brahmanya Tirtha Vyasa Tirtha Lakshmi Pati Madhavendra Puri Isvara Puri Nityananda Dvaita Lord Chaitanya Rupa Sanatana Raghunath Jiva Krishna Das Naratan Vishwanath Bharadev Jagannath Bhaktivinoda Kokiswa Bhakti Santa Saraswati His Devangesh A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Thank you. I need to learn that. So we hear Krishna, and he gives the knowledge to Brahma. Lord Brahma is the head of our Sampradaya. And of course, we could trace it all the way down through His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lastly, one of the most revered texts in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition was composed by Lord Brahma. It is the Brahma Samhita. These beautiful Sanskrit poetry we sing every morning as part of our morning program. And not only is it beautiful, but if we read them, we can see that Lord Brahma provides us a detailed understanding of Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord, Krishna's form, his qualities, and the nature of the universe. All glories to Lord Brahma. So that is what I have prepared. Please, comments, corrections, questions. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. This was really nice. I don't know if somebody else had their hand up.
No.
Yeah, super detailed and just awesome. I was just wondering, why would a devotee become a demigod? Because it seems like that's not what we're going for. Like, so how does like a great devotee would become like Lord Brahma and not just like go back to Godhead or something?
I should probably have Gokulananda Prabhu answer that, or Prabhupada Priya. But I think the Bhagavatam makes clear, though, that that's a wonderful service. I mean, it's personal service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you fulfill that, then I don't believe anyone's goal is to become Lord Brahma. Let me put it like that. I made the comment that, hey, if any of you do the tapasya right, you could be Lord Brahma, which is true, but I don't think anybody's goal is to let me sit down and meditate for however thousands of years and become Lord Brahma. But it is a position that, Krishna hires someone that he thinks would be best able to serve in that position. And you get to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. And as his pure devotee, it is explained that at the end of Brahma's life, as the pure devotee Brahma, he goes back to Goloka with Krishna. Would you like to comment on that, Gokulananda Prabhu or Prabhupada Priya Prabhu?
What I've heard is that if a devotee has a little bit of a desire or inclination to control, like wants a position of power, then they may become a demigod on the way back to Godhead to kind of like, experience that. Like, I guess kind of like the discussion yesterday in class was that Krishna fulfills our material desires in such a way that they're fulfilled and they're also purified. So yeah, if a devotee is very advanced and very loyal to Krishna, very competent servant of Krishna, but they have desire for a powerful position in this world, then they become a demigod like Lord Brahma.
Thank you. Demigods are not my forte. I have a lot of questions as you do.
Thank you very much. Mother Prabhupada Priya, she explained everything. One point I would like to add, like the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, they are karma mishrit bhaktas. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, urdhvam gachanti sattva, those who are in the goodness, they go there, but then shine punne, as soon as their pious credits are exhausted, they fall down. But that being said, the responsible posts, like it is explained, Bali Maharaj will be the next Indra, and I don't remember the exact quote, Hanumanji will be the next Brahma or something. So these posts are exclusively reserved for the pure devotees, usually. And as she explained, right, if there is no qualified Brahma, then that post is handled by the Lord himself. So that shows the importance and the concern, that's the word I was looking for. The concern that Supreme Lord has, his whole mission, the goal behind this material creation is to uplift or elevate the consciousness of the living entities, conditioned beings. That's my understanding. The responsibility of the post. They're not ordinary souls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's not like, we hear about how you perform pious activities, then you go to the heavenly planets, and then when those pious activities are burned up, then you come back down. So that's not the case with personalities like Lord Brahma, because it's not a result of piety. He's a devotee, and his goal is to serve and please Krishna. So at the end of Brahma's life, he doesn't come back to earth. He goes back to Godhead. That's a big difference between demigods like Lord Brahma and others who go to heavenly planet, higher planet.
Maybe Mother Prabhupada Priya can correct me. In one of, I don't remember exactly, in one of the purports in second canto, Srila Prabhupada talks about the prophets and messiahs. They descend down from Brahma's planet. So you can imagine even the inhabitants of Brahmaloka, they are such elevated personalities. Like,
Don't they go back to Godhead also at the end of Brahma's life or something? Yeah. I was wondering also, might not be the topic that we go right away to talk about when we try to glorify Lord Brahma, but we can't just ignore the section of the Bhagavatam where he's like lusty over his own daughter or something. You want to talk about this? What is this?
I'll defer to my seniors to answer your question. Would you mind, Prabhupada Priya, addressing that?
Yeah, well, as Gokulananda Prabhu was, or was it you that was saying, Manjari Gopi, how Brahma's a post, and there are different, sometimes Brahma's a pure devotee, sometimes he's more into karma, gyan, and whatever. So, yeah, different Brahmas are different. They're individuals, and they're on their different levels. So this Brahma, in that particular time period, that Brahma personality who was occupying the post of Brahma was not a pure devotee. And so he had that desire that affects, everyone in this material world is afflicted with sex desire. So that came up for him. But one thing that it shows us that, no one is exempt from these types of urges, and that we need to be very, very careful. But that ultimately the Lord protected him, because he didn't actually do anything. He just kind of like had a thought, and he, started moving in that direction, but he never touched his daughter actually. So Krishna protects the devotee. But it's just showing that Maya is very strong, and that we have to be very vigilant. Even we're never above the influence of the illusory energy. We're always there's always that danger. Even if we're elevated to the highest position in the material universe, we can still fall prey to these things.
What about Lord Shiva? Is it always the same personality forever?
Yeah, he's not Jiva Tattva.
He's not
Brahma is
Jiva
Shiva
Tattva.
Tattva. What is the category of Shiva called?
Shiva Tattva.
Oh, there you go. Why didn't I know that? Easier one to remember.
That was a wonderful point that he brought up. Especially in our movement, we see some great souls sometimes, a little bit here and there happens, and we tend to judge them, neglecting their entire life's dedication, service, commitment, loyalty to Srila Prabhupada and to Parampara. So we can take this lesson from great souls like Lord Brahma, Indra. Indra, sometimes people, they in India especially, who do not understand the position of Indra, they mock him, that Indra did this, Indra did that. But my Guru Maharaj Radha Swami used to say, in Bhagavatam there is a verse, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridyanti Yuge Yuge. Krishna appears just for the sake of protecting Indra. Can you imagine elevated position of Indra? So these great souls also somewhere, I don't remember exactly, it is mentioned, the amount of responsibility and the duties that these great souls perform, even if some faults here and there, they are forgiven, and they should not be taken into consideration. Like Lord Brahma, you spoke about. So similarly, we can apply the same model here in our movement.
Mhm.
Great souls, great personalities, so much service they have done to Srila Prabhupada.
Mhm.
Little bit here and there because of sometimes we don't know, no one can understand Krishna. Krishna can put anybody into any particular situation and bewilder, you know. There must be some higher purpose, we don't know.
Mhm.
But we should always look at what they have done for this movement and their dedication and their service and loyalty. That should be in forefront always.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. Because there's a verse. Sometimes when I'm reading Bhagavatam, I have in my notes section, I write down certain verses. So this is one of them that I saved. It's from the 11th canto, chapter 20, verse 36. This is the purport. There are cases of highly elevated devotees who momentarily fell down from the saintly platform of devotional service. The Lord instructs in Bhagavad Gita 9.30, Apichetsu duraracho bhajate mam ananyabhak sadureva samantavya samyak vyavyasito hisa. A momentary fall down by a sincere devotee of the Lord cannot change the Lord's feelings toward such a person. Even an ordinary father or mother quickly excuses a momentary transgression by their child. Just as children and parents enjoy mutual love, the Lord's surrendered servants enjoy a loving relationship with the Lord. An unpremeditated, accidental fall down is quickly excused by the Lord, and all members of society must share in the Lord's own feelings, excusing such a sincere devotee. An advanced devotee should not be branded as materialistic or sinful because of an accidental fall down. A devotee immediately returns to the platform of saintly service and begs the Lord's forgiveness. However, one who permanently remains in a fallen condition can no longer be accepted as a highly elevated devotee of the Lord. Also about Lord Indra, because I think about him a lot. He appears in the Bhagavatam so many times, and as my spiritual master has said, it's sometimes very difficult to understand the choices that Indra makes, why he does the things that he does. But my spiritual master emphasized, when Lord Indra calls for Krishna or Vishnu, Vishnu appears before him. What happens when you call Lord Vishnu?
I was thinking, I've observed that our envy of Krishna in terms of all of his opulences, all of the beauty and the wealth and the renunciation and stuff, that envy also manifests in other great personalities as well. Like, exalted devotees in our movement, we're quick to judge them because we have envy for them. And same with demigods too, we're quick to judge them because they have the power. We want the power. They have the beauty. We want the beauty. They have the renunciation. We want it,
Yeah.
So we're quick to judge them out of envy.
Yeah, we have this, as my spiritual master says, we have this pathetic need for recognition, this pathetic desire to be greater than others. And that's, the envy that we extend to God. So when we see a perceived flaw in someone, we like to meditate on it so that we can raise ourselves higher because we have that false ego. Vaishnav, do you have any thoughts on Lord Brahma? Or anything? I bet you could. Do you have a favorite verse of Brahma Samhita? Can you sing one verse of Brahma Samhita for us?
I don't know it.
I think you know it, but you just don't know that you know it. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Aladir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Vaishnav is our little Sanskrit scholar, but he still has that wonderful quality of humility. When we give him a microphone, he says, "No, I know nothing." Any other thoughts or comments or questions? Well, if not, thank you very much for tolerating me. Thank you, everyone, for teaching me. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.